गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशत रशत स्मर भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभु साई विस्तार नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु महाभागवत श्री गोक्षर बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु श्रीरंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम चैश्ल रस ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुन देवी गंग देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रीनिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिशे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव। पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams, Ganga Didi, Raseshwari Mataji, Rupa Manjari Didi, Indira Mataji. Oh, really? That's interesting. For the longest time, it's been America has been one day ahead of India with all the different tea. Now it's there. Okay, so then Nitila Pravishto Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmad Bhakti Vigyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Tidiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi Ki Jai. Alright, so let's begin. Such a strange thing. See here, it says on Restream, it says that there are only 4 people watching, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I guess there are only 4 people. Okay. Let me just... Alright, so yesterday, I'm just gonna do the quick thing. I'll just read this part. So in the previous chapter, we read about executing the Payovrata process of worship. First, there's description of Aditi's lamentation and Kashyapa Muni's visit to her ashram. Then Kashyapa Muni inquires about Aditi's dejection. I have a hard time saying that word, dejection. He asks about her, if she's doing everything right. Has she received the guests properly? Is she following all her prescribed duties while he was gone? And so then Aditi, she says, all is well, but the demons have taken away our opulence. Please show a way for my sons to regain their lost positions. Kashyapa wonders at the material affection in this world due to Viṣṇu Maya. Kashyapa describes the qualities of Lord Vishnu and the infallible nature of bhakti. Then Aditi inquires about the best process of worshipping Lord Vishnu, and then he explains the basic details of the Payovrata process, the mantras to worship the Supreme Lord, other rules and regulations of Payovrata, and things to do on the Trayodashi. So the Payovrata ceremony takes 13 days to perform, and then he explains the glories of the Payovrata ceremony. So that's where we left off. Prajumna, I don't know what Satyanarayan Puja is. Dandavat Pranam, by the way. So Lord agrees to become Aditi's son. Chapter 17. As explained in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being very pleased by the Payovrata ceremony performed by Aditi, appeared before her in full opulence. At her request, the Lord agreed to become her son. After Aditi performed the Payovrata ceremony for 12 continuous days, the Lord, who was certainly very pleased with her, appeared before her with 4 hands and dressed in yellow garments. As soon as Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead present before her, she immediately got up, and with great ecstatic love for the Lord, she fell to the ground to offer respectful obeisances. Aditi's throat was choked because of ecstatic feelings, and her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer suitable prayers to the Lord, she could not do anything. Thus she remained silent for some time. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, she offered her prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul of all living entities, was very pleased with her, and he agreed to become her son by incarnating as a plenary expansion. He is already pleased by Kashyapa Muni's austerities, and thus he agreed to become their son and maintain the demigods. After giving his word of honor to this effect, the Lord disappeared. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi engaged in the service of Kashyapa Muni, who could see by samadhi that the Lord was within him, and who thus placed his semen in the womb of Aditi. Lord Brahma, who is known as Hiranyagarbha, understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered Aditi's womb. Thus he offered prayers to the Lord. Shishuka uvacha ityukta saditi rajan swabhartra kashyapena vai anvatishtar vratam idam dvadashaham atandrita. Shukadeva Goswami said, O king, after Aditi was thus advised by her husband, Kashyapa Muni, she strictly followed his instructions without laziness, and in this way performed the Payovrata ritualistic ceremony. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. For advancement in anything, especially in spiritual life, one must strictly follow the bona fide instructions of the teacher. Aditi did this. She strictly followed the instructions of her husband and guru, as confirmed in the Vedic Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir Yata Deve Tata Guru. Oh my god, all this is not in there. That's so strange. Okay. Anyways, Yasya Deve. One should have complete faith in the guru who helps the disciple make progress in spiritual life. As soon as the disciple thinks independently, not caring for the instructions of the spiritual master, he is a failure. Yasya prasadan nagati kotopi. Aditi very strictly followed the instructions of her husband and spiritual master, and thus she was successful. Intayante kaya buddhya mahapurushamishwaram pragrayendriya duštashvan manasa buddhi sarati manaschaikagraya buddhya bhagavatya kilatmani vasudeve samadhaya chachara payovratam. With full, undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Thus she performs the ritualistic ceremony known as Payovrata. Purport. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma Dhyanavartam Anukena Krishnanu Shilan Bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One simply has to concentrate upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Krishna, Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo. Then the mind and senses will be controlled, and one can engage himself fully in the devotional service of the Lord. The devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Tasya pradurabhut tata bhagavanadi purusha pitavash vasash chatur bahu shankachakadadara. My dear king, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, dressed in yellow garments and bearing a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus in his 4 hands, then appeared before Aditi. Tang netra gocharam vikshya sahasottaya sadaram nanama bhuvikayena dandavat prithivi phala. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead became visible to Aditi's eyes, Aditi was so overwhelmed by transcendental bliss that she at once stood up and then fell to the ground like a rod to offer the Lord her respectful obeisances. Sothaya badhanjalir iritum stita notse anda jala kulekshana pabhuvatushnim puloka kulashkritis Tadarsanat yutsavagatrave patu. Aditi stood silently with folded hands, unable to offer prayers to the Lord. Because of transcendental bliss, tears filled her eyes, and the hairs on her body stood on end. Because she could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, she felt ecstasy, and her body trembled. Prityashanergadgadaya giraharim Tushtavasadevyaditi kurudvaha Udvikshati sa pibhati vachakshusha Ramapatim yagyapatim jagatpatim. O Maharaj Parikshit, the demigoddess Aditi then began offering her prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a faltering voice and with great love. She appeared as though drinking through her eyes the Supreme Lord, who is the husband of the Goddess of Fortune, the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, and the Master and Lord of the entire universe. Purport. After observing the Payovrata, Aditi was certain that the Lord had appeared before her as a Ramapati, the husband of all good fortune, just to offer her sons all opulences. She had performed the yajna of Payovrata under the direction of her husband, Kashyapa, and therefore she thought of the Lord as Yagyapati. She was completely satisfied to see the Master and Lord of the entire universe come before her to fulfill her desire. Shri Aditi Ruvacha Yagesha Yagya Purushachuta Tirthapada Tirtha Shava Shavana Mangala Namadeya Apana Loka Vrijino Pashamodhyayadya Shangna Kridhisha Bhagavan Asidina Nata. I just want to see one thing. The goddess Aditi said, O master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous person whose name, when chanted, spreads all good fortune, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor, suffering living entities, and you have appeared to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of those who observe vows and austerities, and it is He who bestows benedictions upon them. He is worshipable for the devotee throughout the devotee's life, for he never breaks his promises. As he says in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. The Lord is addressed here as Achyuta, the infallible, because he takes care of his devotees. Anyone inimical to the devotees is certainly vanquished by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is the source of the Ganges water, and therefore he is addressed here as Tirthapada, indicating that all the holy places are at his lotus feet, or that whatever he touches with his foot becomes a holy place. Bhagavad Gita, for example, begins with the words Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Because the Lord was present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it became a Dharma Kshetra, a place of pilgrimage. Therefore, the Pandavas, who were extremely religious, were assured of victory. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead displays his pastimes, such as Vrindavan or Dwarka, becomes a holy place. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is pleasing to the ear, and it expands good fortune to the audience who hears it chanted. Owing to the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi was fully assured that the troublesome condition for her by the demons would now be ended. Vishvaya Vishvabhavana Sthiti Samyamaya Swairam Grihita Purushakti Gunaya Bhumne Swastaya Shashvar Upabremhita Purna Bodha Vyapaditatmatamase Haraye Namaste. My Lord, you are the all-pervading universal form, the fully independent creator, maintainer, and destroyer of this universe. Although you engage your energy in matter, you are always situated in your original form and never fall from that position, for your knowledge is infallible and always suitable to any situation. You are never bewildered by illusion. O my Lord, let me offer my respectful obeisances to you. Purport. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 2.117, it is said, Siddhanta bolia chitte na karo ulas, iha hoite Krishna lage sudrida manas. Anyone trying to become fully Krishna conscious must know the Lord's glories as far as they are possible to understand. Here Aditi hints at these glories. The universe is nothing but the external potency of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Maya tatang idang sarvam. Whatever we see in this universe is but an expansion of the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as the sunshine and heat all over the universe are expansions of the sun. When one surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he surpasses the influence of the illusory energy, for the Supreme Lord, being fully wise and being situated in the heart of it, especially in the heart of a devotee, gives one intelligence by which one is sure to never fall into illusion. Ayu parang vapurabhishtamatulya lakshmir Deoburasa sakala yoga gunastrivarga Jnanang cha kevalamanantam bhavanti tushtat Tvato nrinam kim u sapatna jayadirashihi. O Unlimited One, if your Lordship is satisfied, one can very easily obtain a lifetime as long as that of Lord Brahma, a body either in the upper, lower, or middle planetary systems, unlimited material opulence, religion, economic development, and satisfaction of the senses, full transcendental knowledge, and the eight yogic perfections. What to speak of such petty achievements as conquering one's rivals? Sri Shuka Uvacha Adityaivam stuto rajan bhagavan pushkarekshana kshetragya sarvabhutanam iti ho vacha bharata. Shukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, best of the Bharata dynasty, when the lotus-eyed Lord, the supersoul of all living entities, was thus worshipped by Aditi, he replied as follows. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Just curious, how many verses are there? 28, okay. Yeah, actually, the Payavrata. Sorry, we're just this is from yesterday, but the Payavrata worship is during this time of the year for 13 days. I think if somebody does this process, they would have started it uh, like a few days ago, 4 days ago. It started, the Payavrata process started 4 days ago and it goes on for 13 days. Okay, sorry about that. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Deva Matar Bhavatyame Vigyatam Chirakangshitam Yat Sapatnar Hrita Shrinam Chavitanam Sadhamata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long cherished desires for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulences and driven from their residence by their enemies. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, and especially in the hearts of his devotees, is always ready to help devotees in adversity. Since he knows everything, he knows how things are to be adjusted, and he does the needful to relieve the suffering of his devotee. Tan vinirjitya samare durmadan asurar shabhan pratilabdha jaya shribihi putrar ichasupasitum. O Devi, O goddess, I can understand that you want to regain your sons and be together worship me. After being you want to be together with them to worship me after defeating the enemies in battle and retrieving your abode and opulences. Sorry, I read that really bad. Let me reread that. O Devi, O goddess, I can understand that you want to regain your sons and be together with them to worship me after defeating the enemies in battle and retrieving your abode and opulences. Indrajeshtai satanayar hatanam yudhi vidvisham striyorudantirasadya drashtum ichasi dukkita. You want to see the wives of the demons lamenting for the death of their husbands when those demons, the enemies of your sons, are killed in battle by the demigods, of whom Indra is the chief. Atmajan samridhangstvam pratyahritya yashashriya nakaprishtam adaya kridato drashtumichasi. You want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulence and live again on their heavenly planets as usual. Sounded a little demented, didn't it? You want to see the wives crying, lamenting the death. So you want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulence and live again on their heavenly planet as usual. Prayodhuna tesura yutanata aparayin niha iti devi me mati yate nukakuleshvara vipragupta na vikramastatra sukam dadati. O Mother of the demigods, in my opinion, almost all the chiefs of the demons are now unconquerable, for they are beaten by Brahmins, whom the Supreme Lord always favors. Thus, the use of power against them will now not be at all. Thus, the use of power against them now will not at all be a source of happiness. Purport. When a person is favored by the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, no one can defeat him. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not interfere when one is protected by a Brahman. It is said, Go Brahmana hitaya cha. The Lord's first inclination is to give all benedictions to cows and the Brahmins. Therefore, if Brahmins favor someone, the Lord does not interfere, nor can anyone interfere with the happiness of such a person. Atapyupayo mama devi chintya santoshitasya vratacharyayate mamarchanam narhati gantumanyata shadanurupam palahetuketvat. hetukatvat. Yet, because I have been satisfied by the activities of your vow, O goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you, for worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives the desired result according to what one deserves. Tvayarchitaschaham apatyaguptaye payovratenanugunam samidita swangshena putra tvam upetate sutan guptasmi maricha tapasya dishtita. You have prayed to me and properly worshipped me by performing the great Payovrata ceremony for the sake of protecting your sons. Because of Kashyapa Muni's austerities, I shall agree to become your son and thus protect your other sons. Upadhava patim bhadre prajapatim akalmasham mam cha bhavayati patyav evang rupam avastitam. Always thinking of me as being situated within the body of your husband, Kashyapa, go worship your husband, who has been purified by his austerity. Naitat parasma akheyam prishtayapi katanchana sarvam sampadyate devi deva guhyam susamvritam. O lady, even if someone inquires, you should not disclose this fact to anyone. That which is very confidential is successful if kept secret. Shiva Uvacha Etavar Ukta Bhagavansh Tatraivantarati Yata Aditir Durlabam Labdva Harir Janmatmani Prabho Upadhavat Patim Bhaktya Paraya Krita Krityavat. Shukadev Goswami said, after speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead disappeared from that very spot. Aditi, having received the extremely valuable benediction that the Lord would appear as her son, considered herself very successful, and with great devotion she approached her husband. Savai samadhi yogena kashyapastar abhudata pravishtam atmani harir anksham hyavitate. Being situated in meditation trance, Kashyapa Muni, whose vision is never mistaken, could see that a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered within him. Sodittang viryam adatta tapasa chirasampritam samahitam manarajan darunyagnim yatanila. O king, as the wind promotes friction between two pieces of wood and thus gives rise to fire, Kashyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transferred his potency into the womb of Aditi. A forest fire begins when two pieces of wood rub against one another, being agitated by the wind. Actually, however, fire belongs neither to the wood nor to the wind. It is always different from both. Similarly, here it is to be understood that the union of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi was not like the sexual intercourse of ordinary human beings. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do with the human secretions of sexual intercourse. He is always completely aloof from such material combinations. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samohang sarvabhuteshu, I am equal toward all living entities. Nonetheless, to protect the devotees and kill the demons who were a disturbing element, the Lord entered the womb of Aditi. Therefore, this is a transcendental pastime of the Lord. This should not be misunderstood. One should not think that the Lord became the son of Aditi the way an ordinary child is born. Sexual intercourse between man and woman. Here it may be also appropriate to explain, in these days of controversy, the origin of life. The life force of the living entity, the soul, is different from the ovum and semen of the human being. Although the conditioned soul has nothing to do with the reproductive cells of a man and woman, he is placed into the proper situation because of his work. Karmana daiva netrena. Life is not, however, a product of two secretions, but is independent of all material elements. As fully described in Bhagavad Gita, the living entity is not subject to any material reactions. He can neither be burnt by fire, cut by sharp weapons, moistened by water, nor dried by the air. He is completely different from the physical elements, but by a superior arrangement, he is put into these material elements. He is always aloof from material contact. Asango hyayam purusha. But because he is placed in a material condition, he suffers the reactions of the material modes of nature. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunkte prakritijan gunan karanan gunasangosya sad asad yonijan masu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Bhagavad Gita 13:22. Although the living entity is aloof from the material elements, he is put into material conditions, and thus he must suffer the reactions of material activities. Aditer dishtitam garbham bhagavantam sanatanam hiranyagarbho vigyaya samide guhyanamabhi. When Lord Brahma understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was now within the womb of Aditi, he began to offer prayers to the Lord by reciting transcendental names. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists everywhere. Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. Therefore, when one chants his transcendental names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is automatically pleased by such sankirtan. It is not that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is absent. He is present there. And when a devotee utters the transcendental name, it is not a material sound. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is naturally pleased. A devotee knows that the Lord is present everywhere, and that one can simply by chanting his holy name. Shri Brahma Ovacha Jaya Rukaya Bhagavan Urukrama Namostute Namo Brahmanya Devaya Trigunaya Namo Namaha. Lord Brahma said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glories unto you who are glorified by all, and whose activities are all uncommon. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, O Lord of the Transcendentalists, controller of the three modes of nature. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Namaste Prishnigarbhaya Vedagarbhaya Vedhase Trinabhaya Triprishtaya Shipi Vishtaya Vishnave. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the all-pervading Lord Viṣṇu, who have entered the cores of the hearts of all living entities. All the three worlds reside within your navel, yet you are above the three worlds. Formerly, you appeared as the son of Prishni. To you, the Supreme Creator, who are understood only through Vedic knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances. Tamadiranta bhuvanasya madhyam ananta shaktim purusham yamahu kalo bhavan akshipatisha vishwan sroto yatanta patitang gabhiram. O my, you are the beginning, the manifestation, and the ultimate dissolution of the three worlds. And you are celebrated in the Vedas as the reservoir of unlimited potencies, the Supreme Person. O my Lord, as waves attract branches and leaves that have fallen into deep water, you, the supreme eternal time factor, attract everything in this universe. Purport. The time factor is sometimes described as Kala Stotra, waves of time. Everything in this material world is within the time factor and is being carried away by waves of attraction, which represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, this is the last verse of the chapter. Tangvaya prajanam stirajangamanam prajapitam asisam Prajapati nam Viṣṇu divokasam deva divashchutanam parayanam nor ivamajatopsu. My Lord, you are the original generator of all living entities, stationary or moving, and you are also the generator of the Prajapatis. O my Lord, as a boat is the only hope for a person drowning in the water, you are the only shelter for the demigods, who are now bereft of their heavenly position. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 17th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Supreme Lord Agrees to Become Aditi's Son. Alright, so tomorrow we're going to celebrate Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's Vyas Puja Day. So the day after tomorrow, we will celebrate, the day after tomorrow, we will read about Lord Vamandev, the dwarf incarnation, the appearance of Lord Vaman and the joy of the universe, the sacred thread ceremony of Lord Vaman, and Vamandev enters Bali Maharaja's sacrificial arena. We'll read all that the day after tomorrow. I know, didn't it? See the wives of the demons cry and suffer. Yeah, seriously. Talk about vengeance. Yes. Oh, yeah. And I am feeling better today, Indira Mataji. Yesterday evening, I went to Devananda Gaudiya Math, actually. And yesterday evening is when I started to actually feel like closer to back to normal. Not at 100%, but nearly there. Yesterday morning, I was still feeling dizzy and all that, but yeah, evening time, I started feeling better. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. जय श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग गंधाविक गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जय, श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरण मोहन जू की जय, नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शतश्मार भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय, नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शतश्मार भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय, नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शतश्मार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, Nitila Pravishtam Viṣṇu Rashita Rashita Shmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitila Pravishtam Viṣṇu Rashita Rashita Shmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitila Pravishtam Viṣṇu Rashita Rashita Shmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Goraksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Braja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Bhidata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Vo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. See you all tomorrow to read the glories of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And then we'll continue on with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam again. Haribol. Dandavat pranams, Indira Mataji. And I'll drink water right now, Rup Manjari Didi. Thanks for reminding me.